Okay, let's continue working on our API. So what I want to do in this lesson is to install a third-party router. So we'll be installing the HTTP router. All right, so let me go ahead and do that. So go get github.com// Julian Schmidt /HTTP router at version 1.3.0. Okay, so that's the Julian Schmidt HTTP router, and of course this is the documentation about that router. Okay, so similar to the last series we looked at, we will be using this third-party router because it gives us more flexibility in creating our RESTful routing features. Okay, so let me go ahead and let me create a new file. So in this file, we're going to create our routes, okay, similar to what we did the last time. So touch cmd /API/routes. That go. Okay, so should be routes. Let me change the name. Let me just do it here. Rename routes. Okay. Let me close that. Let me stop my server. Okay. So similar to what we did the last time, we will place our routes in this file. Okay, so file name. Great. So of course it belongs to package main, and we will import net HTTP, and let's import our router. Okay. So similar to what we did the last time, we're going to create a method on the application struct, and that method will be named routes, and this method will actually return a HTTP router .router. Okay, so this is the type that gets returned. So when you want to return a router, this is the type, and of course notice we're using a pointer. Okay, all right, so we're returning a pointer that points to a router. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's create this router that we will be sending back. So let's create a new HTTP router instance. Okay, and that's quite easy. Let's call our router. Okay, and to create a new router, I'm simply going to say HTTP router dot new. Okay, and now all I need to do is to assign my handler functions, and my URLs, and of course my method type. So to do that, I'm going to say router dot, and I'm going to say handler func. Okay, handler func. Now inside handler func, I will start off by putting what is the method type. Okay, so it's asking me, it's telling me the method type, then the URL, and then the last thing would be the actual handler, okay, the handler function. Okay, so this will be, I'm going to use the names from the HTTP package. So I'm going to say HTTP dot method get. Okay, and it's going to have this URL. So /v1 / health check. Okay, and we need to provide the handler function. Okay, and that will be called app.healthCheckHandler. Okay, so we already did this one. Let's create another one. I'm just going to copy and paste. All right, so we're going to have a method get, a method post. Okay, and since our API is about schools, okay, we will call that v1 / schools. So this URL will allow us to add a new school. Okay, and so to add a new school, we will eventually create a handler named create school. Okay, so create school handler. Now let's create one more handler. Okay, for now, when we're done, we will have quite a few URLs. So this is a get method, and this will allow us to get a school based on its ID. So if you recall, RESTful APIs, we're going to use the :ID. Okay, and so I'm going to have a handler function named show school handler. Okay, so show school handler. Okay, now once we have all our routes for now specified, well, then we will simply return our router. Okay, and so once we have returned our router, then this means that we will have to go back to main, and we will no longer be using mux. We will now call the routes method. Okay, so let's change this. So we will say app.routes. Okay, again, we did this the last time. Okay, so with that out of the way, the next thing we need to actually do is to implement our function handlers or handler functions. Okay, so I will leave this here for now. Again, all we did, we created a routes file, and in that we placed all our routes, which we then use to update our HTTP server. Okay. All right. So in the next video, in the next lesson, we will go ahead and we will actually implement the create school handler and the show school handler. I'll see you in that lesson.